Welcome to Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins. Let's Get Into It is a safe space to have real conversations that are meant to uplift, encourage, and let you know you are not the only one dealing with life. Each episode of Let's Get Into It is designed to provide illuminating and thought-provoking information on a variety of topics. In fact, no topic is off limit. If you would like to see a topic discussed, please feel free to make a recommendation. My special guest and I will have a great time discussing topics that the mainstream media wouldn't dare discuss. We will bring these conversations to you with an open mind, respectfully, from different perspectives, and most importantly, with love. Thank you for joining me and my special guest. Now, let's get into it. Hello. It has been a while. I have been on holiday. A friend of mine told me I can't call it vacation since I'm retired. So I have been on holiday for the last couple of months. So let's get into it. Has been on hiatus. I am back. I am excited. I have had a wonderful summer. I've been all over the place. I just came back from a 2-week vacation to the Mediterranean, went on a 9-day Mediterranean cruise while I was out for 2 weeks. Had an opportunity to go to Croatia, go to Greece, go to Turkey, spend some time in Venice and also in Athens, Greece. So it has been a wonderful summer. I also went to Barbados and to Costa Rica. And so it's been a great summer for me. I'm excited to be back. There's lots to talk about. I have some exciting shows lined up for you all. And so I hope that you all will continue to support me as you have in the past. And so with that being said, Dr. Kelly Reagan Whaley to the So
Hello.
Hello. So Dr. Kelly is a woman of God first, a wife, mother of 2 adult children, daughters, 1 bonus daughter and son, a native of Atlanta, Georgia, raised in Decatur, and resides in Snellville. So she has been an Atlanta girl from the beginning. I mean, a Georgia girl from the beginning.
That's
And
it.
counting on Georgia to bring us those electoral college votes, Kelly. So make sure they put the word out. A retiree of the Centers for Disease Control, where she served 30 years as a federal public health analyst. Dr. Kelly is the founder of Kelly Cares Empowers, where she serves and offers inspiration and motivation through empowerment across various venues and platforms. Additionally, she is the founder, publisher, and editorial director of My Story Publications LLC, where she shares published stories from challenge to triumph and personal success stories. Her tagline for the publication is "We all have one." And yes, we do. Kelly is also the owner of a boutique called More Than Just Books and has a heart for assisting people in writing and sharing their personal stories. As her journey has charted her purpose, she wears many hats and is also known as the Lovepreneur. Her certification as a life and relationship coach to help others find their way to healthy relationships. And Lord knows we all need healthy relationships. As a published author, speaker, writer, events producer, and relationships coach, she says, I didn't go through all that for nothing. Most recently, she added her portfolio the role of campus dean, serving as dean of an accredited college in Snellville, Georgia, Manifest, School of the Great Commission Bible College and Seminary. The SOCG headquarters is located in Columbia, South Carolina. Additionally, Dr. Whaley oversees the SOCG's Professional Training Institute, known as the Home for Entrepreneurs. As the new vice president of PTI and the executive director of her nonprofit organization, the Just Start program Incorporated, she has joined hands of her nonprofit organizations with PTI, and together their mission is to revolutionize, ignite, and fuel a generation of entrepreneurs as they pursue their goals and dreams. So welcome, welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Look, I'm tired listening to the intro.
Actually, this is it was important to read that because it then leads us right into the topic of this show, which is multipreneurs versus purpose. And so it's important for the audience to know that you have so many things going on that you can speak to being a multipreneur. And I'm working on that, but I'm so lazy, I'm barely doing one thing. So
you're doing something.
Well, actually, I do multiple things, but I never thought about it as being a multipreneur. And so I like that terminology. So tell us, Kelly, what's a multipreneur?
A multipreneur is a person who I believe just dives into various entities of entrepreneurship. So for example, me, I do a plethora of things, but I also like to compare it to a serialpreneur. And, because I remember hearing serialpreneur first. And I think I heard someone use the term multipreneur. And I'm like, well, I think I like multipreneur better, because a serialpreneur, I think, is a person who's just constantly doing, anything. A multipreneur is just a person who, I believe, I'm speaking for myself, what I do, it has to align with my purpose, and it has to make sense, and they have to kind of match and mirror, each other. And so although I'm doing multiple things, I'm still an entrepreneur, but I'm doing multiple things that align with my purpose. So,
okay, let's jump into purpose first. Because I'm always fascinated by people and their purpose. And so let's share with the audience, how did you find your purpose?
Whew. I think I recognized that it was the very thing that I love to do, the very thing that I'm passionate about, the very thing that I find myself doing constantly, all the time, the things that I could do in my sleep. And that to me is the definition of purpose, but that's how I found mine. I went one way, and when I chose to do something else, I thought, this ain't working because this feels like work. And I took a little break, put some stuff on the shelf. And then I said, okay, now it's time to go back to it. And that was when I started the organization, Kelly Cares. And then I said, now we're going to revamp and we're going to do exactly what I know my purpose is. And we've been going full, just like going. Once I recognized it, you have to recognize it first.
Absolutely.
And then once that door is open, it's on.
So
all of those things that you mentioned, all of those things kind of came after Kelly Cares.
Okay. So
once I got started.
One of the things I do is I'm a conference speaker. And I have a presentation talking about purpose. And purpose is a part of it. And the name of the presentation is Words That Start with the Letter P That Drive Success and Have Power. And so I talk a lot about purpose, and the way that I define purpose is it's the force that drives you, right? And so it comes naturally, you get it accomplished and create balance and hold yourself accountable for doing it. And it comes so easy to you. Oftentimes we don't even recognize that that's our purpose. And I remember for a long time, just kind of thinking through and struggling with what's my purpose. And I would talk to people about it. And as I was having those conversations, people kept telling me the same thing, but it wasn't resonating with me because what they were saying that, my purpose was, it was something that just came so easy to me. I just took it for granted. Right. And then I distinctly remember when it hit me. And that was in 2014. So it's only been 10 years that I
Yeah.
recognize what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And so I was asked to speak at um, uh, an event at work, and it was about empowering women for success.
Mm.
As I did the presentation for the group, I just felt so alive. I felt so motivated. And I was like, this is what people been telling me all of these years. And it wasn't until then that it clicked for me. And so I understand that, many people don't know what their purpose is. And I
Sure.
like that topic because um, when people stop and think about it and they start thinking about what it is that they do that comes so easy to them. Like you said, you could do it in your sleep, right? I
Hmm.
could I could speak at a conference in my sleep, right? I can't be scripted,
Yeah.
right? I use PowerPoints in some instances just because the audience tend to like something to look at. But I prefer not to use PowerPoints, and I could just
Hmm.
talk off the top of my head and be on topic and make it make sense. And
Yep.
so it comes so easy to me, and so I love that. But I also know that people confuse their purpose with their passion.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about passion.
Yeah. Passion.
Yeah. So what's your passion? What's the difference between the two as far as you're concerned?
Well, passion is something that you just enjoy, something that you just enjoy doing leisurely. It's fun, it's just something you just like doing a lot. But purpose is the very thing that you were destined to do, the very thing that you were, I would say, born to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing that you think about all the time. It's the thing that no matter what you're doing, where you go, is gonna pop up 24/7. You're like, golly, I'm back at it again. To me, that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm passionate about cooking. I love cooking. I love getting in the kitchen, playing my Shaka Khan, and got a glass over here. Nobody messing with me, and I'm just in my own little world cooking. I'm passionate about it, but it ain't my purpose.
Right.
I
Right.
can assure you, it's not my purpose. But pouring into the lives of people, mostly women. Women is my area. I just love pouring into women. Um, I mean, it doesn't matter where I go. It's a thing. I was pulled into being a speaker on a whim. Just someone just invited me, and I was like, oh, did I tell somebody I was a speaker? I get this invitation. Like, did I give somebody a card? Let me check and see. I don't remember, but that's what they saw,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been speaking ever since. It's the thing that I think that exudes from you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I agree. And one thing I would add about is passion is something that can't be taught,
no,
right? And so, as you said, you're passionate about cooking. That's not my thing. I can cook. I just don't like to cook because I'm not passionate about it. I could never cook and it'll be fine with me. And so, passion is one of the other things that is not my passion at all is plants and flowers, right? I don't have a
oh,
green thumb. And someone gave us two plants. One of them has died and one is barely hanging on.
oh Lord,
That's just not my passion, right? I have zero interest in that. And I don't think anybody can teach me to have an interest in that. And
right?
so, passion is very different. And like you, I believe in pouring into not only people, but specifically women, right? Because a lot of women struggle, right? And because we carry so much for the
Mm,
family,
mm.
world,
Woo.
we have lots of things on our shoulders, and women struggle, and we have not been taught to ask for help.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
what it
think
is.
that we have to do it all
Yeah,
ourselves. And
yeah,
so, I just get so much enjoyment out of and fulfillment out of helping other women not only realize who they are, but also embrace it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times with women, particularly, when you are confident, people call you arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
When you are assertive, people call
Mm-hmm.
you aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to put all of these negative terms on you. But in actuality, what they're saying is, I wish that I had some of that.
Exactly. Exactly. No, no, that's real. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You always hear being when you walk into a room, walk into the room like you own it. But for some people, it's just extremely natural. Hey, how's everybody doing? What's going on? And whereas you have some people will walk in and they just wish they could hide behind the whole curtain, because they want to be, and people can't help who they are.
right.
There are different personalities that match, what they do. You got your introverts, you got your extroverts, but usually I would say like a born leader, someone who's just born to do, certain things. You almost know it right off the bat when you meet a person. You
Oh,
do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned introverts and extroverts. Many people don't believe that I am an introvert,
Wait a
right?
minute, what? I don't.
I am very much an introvert. I can be an extrovert, but and let's
Okay.
kind of define this, because introverts get their energy from themselves, and extroverts get their
Mm,
get around other people. And
okay.
so I
I
would
can see that.
I get my energy from myself, and I very much appreciate and enjoy the time that I spend with myself. And if I walk into a crowded room and I don't know anybody in that room, I will not talk to anybody. Now, if people come up to me and talk to me, of course I'm gonna talk back, but I won't initiate the conversation. I'm
Mm.
very much an extrovert. I don't care where we go. He gonna know everybody in the room. He gonna know who their mamas are, who their daddies are. He's gonna know who they know. He gonna find out who they know in common. All that. And I'll just be hanging back looking at him like, do you really have to talk to everybody here?
Everybody. Yep,
And
I kind of have that in common as well.
and
Me and my husband, as most of you probably know. Yes.
I don't know how I couldn't do two introverts or two extroverts.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
We a
um,
lot when we're together.
and see, so let's talk about your values and how important it is that they align with your purpose.
Well, no, we're talking specifically about my purpose because,
Yes.
for me, oh gosh, the values we all know kind of start at childhood. You're taught certain things. Now, for me, I grew up in a household full of women, a family, shall I say, full of women. I actually was an only child for like till I was 12. But I grew up in a family full of women. And so I have seen women work hard. I've seen the women in my family struggle. I've seen issues in the relationships. I've seen successful marriages. I've just seen every dynamic to what women have gone through. And some of my aunts have passed on. And I just remember as a younger adult, just wishing that they were around so I could sit at the table, and just kind of glean from them. But those values that we were taught, they were real and true. And they just carried on through, my adult life. And as I compare it to like what I'm doing in purpose, to me, it aligns because I was taught, to just we had a serious support system in our family. Encouragement was just always there. My grandmother was the queen of it. I'm talking, Grandma, I need to lose some weight. Oh, you all right? It could be any little thing.
Mhm.
But I always had encouragement. I always had support. And I think that's the one thing that kind of would shape, how we move. And for me, it definitely shaped how I moved and how, as far as keeping my senses about me and staying confident. My mother, especially, my mother was the queen of motivation. And so I just kind of grew up, with, those core values, respecting myself, the confidence, having confidence no matter what, all those things just kind of combined, kind of shaped my thinking, and it shaped how I moved in my purpose. And I just want to see other women, like you said earlier, I just want to see other women, and I would speak to all platforms. I'm not just stuck on women, but that's what my heart is based on my experiences, things that I've gone through. And I hate to see people struggling, and in my opinion, unnecessarily. You ain't got to. Let's get you unstuck. Get unstuck. Come on, let's go.
I find that people don't know they're afraid to be unstuck because they have become so used to being stuck that they are afraid of what unstuck means. Until, some people, it means that once you become unstuck, you're going to leave some people behind.
That's a whole nother subject. Ooh.
So people are afraid to leave people behind because that's their comfort zone, even though it could be toxic, it could be unhealthy, it could be a whole lot of things that's not good for you, but people are afraid to move forward and they stay in their comfort zone. And so, like you, I grew up in a family full of women. And I have 7 sisters.
Stop. It's another show.
And most of my cousins are females.
Wow. So, mine too.
I grew up around a lot of women. And when I tell you that growing up in a family full of women, I think it really strengthened my ability to be confident in who I am. And because most of my relatives are very confident, my mother instilled a lot of confidence in us. That he has so much confidence in himself that he has extra that just spill over to the rest of us, right?
Wow.
Don't play with him. He's serious about it. And so,
7 sisters, huh? No brothers?
Yes. No.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I like to say I have 2 baby sisters, 2 little sisters, 2 big sisters, and my oldest sister.
I'm a lot of sisters.
Absolutely. And, having that support system, as you mentioned, right? It's just, we were always taught that, I don't want to hear any arguing between the two, between anybody. You will not be, fighting each other. You will stick together. And, to this day, we're still all very close.
I love that. I love that.
And we have a strong support system. And I just think that is very, very important, is to have a strong support system. Now, I also recognize that support systems extend beyond your family, your bloodline.
Yes.
Right? And so it's important to have that support system as well. But I was having a conversation with a sister friend of mine recently, and we talked about, she was saying how she's the only child. And so she was talking about, how she, watch us from the outside and see how strongly our support system is. And I think we take it for granted because it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't necessarily stop and really appreciate being able of having that support system. And so when we talk about purpose, right? And our values, they have to be aligned.
Yeah, they got to.
If it's not aligned, then something is wrong. Either that's not your purpose,
right?
Or your values are screwed up. And
I agree.
So when you also talk about purpose, what is it that you like about who you are and as it relates to your purpose?
Oh, I love the woman I am today. I have to preface it by saying that because, we all, it takes a minute for us to get here. I say us, women our age. I'm pretty sure we're in the same age bracket. And, but I haven't always been this. I've always been a bold, outspoken person, but that confidence, that assurance, man, I'm telling you, it really has shaped, it has really shaped how I move in my purpose. Because see, I had to know who I was first. I retired from CDC in 2019, and I retired with this whole thought of, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, when I want to do it, get up when I want to, the whole nine. But what I also did is, I was a serialpreneur for 1 year. I wanted to do everything I wanted to do. I sold jewelry, I made wigs. My stylist, this was during COVID, she came up with the idea. I'm like, let's go. Did that. I had my hands in everything. And then it hit me one day. I said, you know what? They're going to think I'm a whole schizo over here, a schizo in business, that is, and then it just started hitting me to the point where I didn't want to be viewed that way. I don't really get caught up and worried about what people think about me, but I'm very passionate about how people perceive me. And because I want to be taken serious, I'm a very serious-minded person, but I'm also a person who's not afraid. My closest girlfriends will say in a heartbeat, that one there will try. She at least try something, I don't try everything, but, and I like that about myself, that I wasn't afraid to try. But in me doing all of these, serialpreneur type things is where I really honed in on what my purpose was. I had already, known what my purpose was, but now I can focus on what my purpose is. And I'm going to tell you this, when you move in purpose, that's where that multipreneur comes from. You can start here, and before it's all over with, you got do. Because I don't know if you're going to touch on this or not, and I hate that. I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but it is so important. People don't understand. I do personally know the importance of having several streams of income. So that is where that multipreneur comes in it. Purpose is here, and it ain't going nowhere because I was born to do this. That's what purpose says. I was born to do this. But when it comes to that whole heaven, because I heard 7 streams of income, that you got to have at least 7 streams of income. And that became important to me because as a federal employee, we had a furlough. Meaning the government was shut down. And it lasted longer than 3 days. We think in 3 days, we got a couple of days off, party over here. We had a potluck at this house. I had a potluck at my house. We doing the wobble. We was having a ball. But you better believe when that Monday rolled around and y'all still ain't signed off on the resolution and we are still out of work. We were out of work for 3 weeks.
I know. I was a federal employee too.
Okay. So I was like, oh, absolutely. This will never happen again. That was in 2013. And I made it my mission. Oh, I'm going to have something else. Yeah, you got your 401k and all these other stuff, but that stuff ain't tangible. We can't, not right away. And so I made a decision from that moment forward. And yeah, I kind of became a little serial, entrepreneur at the time, but it shaped, it paved the way for me to get to where I needed to be because I at least tried. I got started. And that's my 2 of my favorite words is just start. In my new role as vice president of the Professional Training Institute, I matched it or mirrored it or married it, whatever, they say, with the organization. Just Start is my program because I really do believe if people just start, you would be surprised at what happens once you just start. I was writing down earlier a list of all of I call them my blessings, but my streams of income. I may not have a ton of money in the bank, but one thing I tell my daughters all the time, I ain't gonna never be broke.
Come on, man.
Because I got this, I got this. I was just going down the list and I'm like, I thank God for me using my gifts, skills, and talents. That's it. And we all have them. But people don't tap into the thing that can get them to the next level. And I'm like you. I want to just put my hands on the backs of people all the time. If I see somebody doing, I'm like, I was somewhere one day and the girl was helping me. Her brows were beautiful. I said, "Do you do brows?" And she said, "No, I just did my own brows." I'm like, "Honey, you did those?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Baby, you sleeping on the whole business." I said, "What's your name?" She said, I think she said Coretta or something. I said, "Coretta's brows." Okay, there you go. You need me to do your business card? I do graphic design. I can whip you up one really quick. I give gifts like that all the time because I need to know people, because I love to ask. So what's your side hustle? Especially with women. I got to think about that with women. Having a side hustle is vital. Having 2 or 3 is even more vital.
Well, it's interesting because I love the just start, because I read somewhere a long time ago that people struggle with just getting started because they think they have to have everything lined up before they start. And once you get started, things start to fall into place.
They do.
And
they really do.
So before I started this podcast, people kept asking me about doing a podcast because my sister and I had a podcast. And so COVID happened. We had to stop going into the studio. Well, I knew that I wanted to do one, and I just kept kind of thinking about it, mulling over it. And my biggest hang up was coming up with a title. That was something I had to do before I could just start. And I came up with all kinds of names, but none of them really landed with me. And so,
I love this. I love that. Let's get into it. I love it.
I had coffee and conversations. I was, porch politics, but I didn't want the show to just only be about politics. I came up with all kind of names, and they just really didn't land with me. And then one day it just popped in my head. Let's get into it. I was like, once I came up with that, I was ready to go. I didn't know.
Once you know.
I didn't know who my guests were going to be. I didn't know. I didn't have an exact date on when I was going to start or any of that. And I knew that I wanted the topics to be a broad range of topics. And so I just didn't know like what those specific topics were going to be. But once I came up with the name, that's when I put out the flyer, and I was like, this is going to force me
exactly
started.
Yes, I love everything about a talk show. But this is the other thing, when for those who don't know, I have a publications company, but I end up with Bell's palsy. And I also have MS. And so I became really concerned about my usage of my hands, and my vision had I lost my vision in my left eye. So I'm like going into this whole depression. And then my son-in-law at the time, he said, well, he called me Mama K, you still can talk. He said, why don't you start a little talk thing or whatever, And I did maybe 5 episodes, but that was such a powerful recommendation, because what it did is it opened up the thought that sometimes when we talk about getting stuck, people get stuck. And I'm like, I didn't have to just be stuck at, the fact that I was a publisher or an editor or writer. That wasn't the end all for me. I had a mouthpiece. So the very same things I was writing about, I could talk about. But once you even get started with that, the doors open even further. Now, people call it asking you to speak. Asking you
to be on this podcast.
But I love the whole just start. You heard of Arthur Ashe's, I think it's his quote, but I say it 100 times a year. When I'm speaking in front, I always end with start where you are, use what you got, and do what you can. Those 3 sets of instructions are so important, and they have been so important in my life. I have used them. I preach about it, speak about it, because it's true. If you just start where you are, just get started.
And you know what I would add to those 3 things you just said? Ask for help.
Woo!
Ask for help.
I like it.
we can't do it all by ourselves.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
you'll be surprised, you know, the people who would be willing to help
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
you also have to know
Yeah.
that in certain circumstances, sometimes you have to pay for that,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
People is just not going to give you things for free all the
That's
time.
right.
And so if you don't want to invest in yourself, then you can't expect anybody else to invest in you.
I totally agree. But you know what? Taking it in an either further step, we also have to recognize I value what you bring to the table, right? But say I don't have the money. But let me tell you what I do have. I can do X, Y, and Z.
Barter.
Would you like to barter? What
Yes.
can I do for you? You know, people are
Absolutely.
not doing enough of that. It's okay to
No.
barter. It's okay. That's what they did back in the horse and buggy days, you know, whatever. But you got to open your mouth. I love that. You definitely have to ask. You know, I just believe that, you know, you can be sitting in a room full of all kinds of expertise and would never know it if you don't open your mouth.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Wouldn't
And
know it.
yes, Valerie, know your value. And Michelle says, start where you are. Absolutely. Um,
Yes.
we want to make sure, particularly as women and women of color, right? Instead of us trying to drag each other down, we need to lift each other up,
Oh
right? We
my
have
God.
to do that. Like, it is no excuse not to do that. And we have to
Woo.
know that not everybody is for you, but not everybody is against you.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
find the people who are for you, ask them for help, borrow talent, skills, services, and get started so that you can then
Yep.
walk in your purpose. And
Yeah.
if you can combine your purpose with your passion, you
It's
winning.
a win-win. And
Absolutely.
I do it every day. And I feel when I tell you I am so fulfilled that I'm tired because I'm busy a lot, but I'm it's a happy busy. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's an excitement to it, you know, and I'm really grateful. I know everybody is not in this place, but
Mm-hmm.
I try my best to encourage people to get here.
Yes.
It's a
And
beautiful place to be.
Eddie says, talk to him. Knowing your value leads to believing.
Yes.
And Michelle says, lift and pay it forward.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's
Lift and
right.
pay it forward.
Yeah.
Um, and so in terms of the multipreneur, right? How do you mesh being a multipreneur with this old saying of jack of all trades, master of nothing?
How do
How do
I
you
mesh that?
mesh? How do you reconcile that?
Well, first of all, like I was saying, the difference in being a serialpreneur versus being a multipreneur. Being a multipreneur for me means I'm not doing nothing I don't want to do, nothing that I'm not passionate about. It's got to make sense for me.
Mhm.
And so when I'm meshing it, as you said with my purpose, it has to make sense.
Mhm.
Period. So I would encourage, you know, if you're going to do several things, let them all align because it's like everything that you're doing is building on each other.
Mhm.
You know, I started out, I had to write it down because I sometimes I amaze myself and I thank God for it. When I started out as a publisher, next thing you know, I'm publishing books. Then I got magazine. The next thing you know, oh, can you come talk about that? Yeah, we come talk about it. Now I'm a speaker because now everybody calling you. And then from there, it's like it just opened up into a whole nother world. And
Mhm.
then, you know, I got my certification to be a life coach. But I really like relationships. So I started focusing on relationships. Now I got clients calling me to, you know, to do that. And then, you know, oh, can you come talk about that? And then we're back to that again. And it's
Right.
just like it's just a cycle that just keeps on going and going and going. And, you know, I just think you just gotta start. Period. At the end of the day, just start. That's all I
Yes. And
just start.
yeah, just start. In terms of the multipreneur, right? And you mentioned the seven streams of income. It's important to be able to just, embrace it and bring it all together, and also understand that not all things that you are going to do as a multipreneur may generate money.
That's true.
And so, and as you are being a multipreneur, you have to expand your network, because oftentimes people start businesses and then try to initially rely on the people that they know to support
Mm.
the business. And that support
Ooh.
may not be there.
Ooh. Oof.
And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we have to expand
Yes,
our
ma'am.
network,
That's big.
so that we can begin to generate the financial resources that come along with our talents and our purpose.
You hit the jackpot. You hit the jackpot. I mean, I have the perfect situation with, I have girlfriends I've been friends with for 41 years, since we were 13, 14. They have supported me in almost everything I have done. And I started early. So they've been supporting Kelly for a long time. And then they got tired. It's like, now look at it. We cannot show up and come to everything. But then I had to learn, because at first I got a little attitude. What you mean?
Right.
Big time, But then as I matured and got older, I had to recognize this, they supported you, but guess what? This may not be their thing.
Right.
Or they may not be interested in this. And they just may want to stay home for the weekend. And you're
Mhm.
exactly right. If you do not expand your network, I have the perfect example someone gave to me. You think about a bullseye.
Mhm.
That little black dot in the middle, that's your bullseye, right? And if you notice, most bullseyes have circles around them. They get bigger and larger and bigger and larger. So your little black dot, that's your core.
Mhm.
That's the same way with friendship. Those are my girls. They're not going nowhere. They the foundation. They my ace boons. They got all the secrets. Okay. But I needed to find my tribe. I
Mm.
needed to find the people who get me, who look like me, who understood why I'm this way, this, that, and the other. That's that other circle. And then maybe find another tribe in another area. That's the other circle. Don't mean that they got to all be like this, because that's what the black dot is. That's the foundation. They're the, and so I can go on and on about that. But that's where I had to learn. You're exactly right. You have to expand your network. You have to go sometimes outside the box, outside of just us. Because we don't always, we tired. We
Right.
ain't got it this week. I get paid next week.
And not only that, but not only do people I think people have good intentions,
Yeah.
right? But I think so many other things come into play that people are hesitant for whatever reasons to support somebody that they know. And
That's another view.
and when we let's say, for example, I'm selling a product, right? The people that I know, or some of them, are going to expect me to sell them that product at a cheaper cost.
The hookup.
But yet, when they go into Walmart, they pay whatever Walmart say that cost is, right? And so that's another reason why you have to expand your network so that you can get the value of your product that you serve. And
Totally
so,
agree.
and I know my sister and I do a women's conference every year, right? And the conference every year has just been growing, because people come to the conference and then they enjoy it so much that the next year they bring somebody with them that we don't know, right? And so the conference is continuing to grow, and people feel like not only are they getting their money's worth, but they're walking away with tangible things and lots of motivation to go and get started, right? And we ask all of our speakers not to use PowerPoints, right? Because we want people to be authentic in what they're saying and not be scripted. And so that has worked really well for us. And as everything else in the world, the conference, the cost of the conference increases every year.
Mm-hmm.
But we're always mindful that, we don't want to price gouge people.
Right.
And so people support us, and we have people who come every year, has not missed one.
That is awesome.
And then we have people who've come and said, oh, this was the best conference I've ever been to, but then they've never been back.
Right.
And that could be for a variety of reasons,
Yeah,
right?
there people have reasons, yeah.
People have reasons, but we expanded our network, and to not only give back to other women, but to also generate income.
Yes. It's a
And so
stream.
it really is a stream. And I think people are multi-talented, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore they can do multiple things.
Yeah.
And not just say, oh, I'm just good at doing eyebrows, so that's all I'm gonna do is these
Right.
eyebrows. I went to the hair salon today, and my hairstylist was sharing that she's going to open a cosmetology school.
Nice.
Like, that is so perfect, right? I
Nice.
love that idea. Like, that's a great next step for her.
Yes.
And so, as people, we should always be thinking about what's next.
Next. Yes.
What's
I totally agree. I love that. What's next?
What's
I'm always
next?
asking what's next. One thing I do believe is important to, we kind of get caught up in the finish what you start thing. And I believe that, but I was attending a writer's workshop once, and I'm just so grateful for her, because I was telling her I had started a book. I got stuck on chapter 3, but I had this other idea, and I said, but I want to finish it because I want to finish what I start. And she said, but it's okay if you don't. She said, sometimes God will put a pin in it and put you in you be like, I'm the detour lane, because sometimes he will detour us in other directions, and it's okay.
And he'll bring you back to it if that's what he wants you to do.
And he'll bring you, like, you may full circle, come right on back. And so I thought, wow.
Circle the block.
Yeah.
So, being multi-talented is everybody's gifts, and people,
we all got something.
We all have something. And we all have multiple somethings. It's just a matter of, are we willing to get started on those multiple somethings?
Right.
And so, as a result of our women's conference that we do, people tap into me and say, can you come MC my conference? Can you MC my wedding? Can you come speak at my conference?
You charging? I hope you charging.
So it depends, right?
Yeah, we get to pick and choose. I get
because
that part
sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about the exposure.
That's true.
And so
I'm with you there.
Now, if I go and, like, I've spoken at conferences down in Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads areas, right? Yes, this is an actual organization, and yes, I'm charging, right? Sometimes it's about exposure, because I may not get paid this time. Next time, I'm getting the exposure, and so the next time I'm going to get paid. And so it's really about,
or even networking.
Yes,
meeting people that you wouldn't ordinarily would not have met before. So I speak a lot of times without charging, but I agree. Yeah.
And so we have to get comfortable with that, because I will tell you the best quote my father-in-law had told me, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And he told me this over 30-some years ago. He said, don't chase the money. The money will come.
That's right. When you're doing purpose work, that's what I call it. When you're doing purpose work, you don't have to chase the money.
Right.
It definitely will come.
Absolutely. And so, and I love that. And that really was something that resonated with me. And so and ever since he told me that, I was like, okay, all right. And he was exactly right. You know, I was early in my career in the federal government, and I was thinking about leaving government to go to private industry. He was like, "Don't do it." He was like, "Chase the
Woo,
money,"
no.
because the only reason I was going to do it was because I knew that I can make more money in private industry.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Don't do it." He said, "Don't chase the money will come." And he was exactly right. And so I'm glad that I listened. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we have to take advice that we don't necessarily want to hear.
Yeah.
And at
That
the
is so.
time, that wasn't something I wanted to hear, but it made sense to me, so I stuck it out, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so sometimes we have to be willing to take some advice
Yep.
that doesn't align with what we want to do.
I agree. I
Uh,
agree.
and also with being a multipreneur, one of the strategies that I use is this something that I can do to be the absolute best me and doing it? And so
Mm.
one of the things I do is I teach leadership classes. Now I definitely get paid for that. That ain't no question. I
Okay.
teach leadership classes. Like if you're not paying for that, I'm not even showing up. So I tell you that right now. But I teach leadership classes, right? And I can teach it on my own terms. You know,
Mm.
I can say I'm available to teach a class or I'm not available to teach a class, and there ain't no hard feelings, right? Um,
Mhm.
and I have a lot of rules around what I'm willing to do to teach a class. And so for me, it has to be virtual unless there's travel involved,
Gotcha.
not commuting,
Yeah.
travel. And
Yeah.
so I'm not getting out here on 95 and sitting in traffic for an hour to go teach a class. That's out of the question.
Ooh,
And
no, 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 no,
so,
no, no, no. But
so
I
I
like that. You're right that you should have boundaries or parameters and what you will and won't do. And I'm saying in terms of being a multipreneur,
oh,
to me, that's what makes it sweet.
yes.
You get to pick and choose. Why
Yes.
do something that you're going to hate?
Right.
Why do something that you're just going to dread, doing?
And people will
So
take advantage of you.
that's true.
People will take advantage of you, and you have to be comfortable with using the word no.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times when we are trying to be entrepreneurs, we think we can't say no.
Yeah.
And particularly if it's money involved, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
we have to
Oh,
do
that's
that.
real good. Yeah.
It's money involved. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And so um the leadership class, they reached out recently and was asking me about different classes, and I was like, yes, yes, no, 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 no. I'm not doing those classes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Money is beautiful, but you do have to have, to me, that's where your values come in too.
mhm,
I mentioned about the boutique that I have, and well, I actually closed it down recently, but I still have it. I'm gonna do it at a later time, in a new location. But I remember having a new author wanted to put his book on my shelves, and I was like, okay. And I had to make a rule early on before he showed up, and I'm glad I did. My rule was, well, let me see your book. Let me
mhm,
see because I'm a faith-based organization, and I'm like, let me see, what you got. And he didn't have his book with him at the time, but he was a bishop. And I'm
mm,
like, oh, well, I'm sure it's all good. We'll put it in the personal development section.
mhm,
When I got the book, I saw a naked woman on the front of the book. He called it something, and I don't mean to sound judgmental, but it just didn't match. It
mhm,
didn't match with what I had in my head. It was something about erotica, but
mm,
he was trying to marry it with the biblical set. But you see, the woman was there cupping a breast. I said, What? Huh? I was like, I don't think this is a good fit for us. Best wishes to you.
right,
But so I could have easily taken his money because I had a membership, I could have
mhm,
taken his money and be like, whatever, if they sell, they sell, they don't, they don't. I did
right,
not want to compromise the
mhm,
value of what I felt that I was giving to the public. You
mhm,
know, that could have actually destroyed my reputation. It could have, tarnished what I was trying to build. So I had to
Mhm.
make a decision. No, we're not going to take these dollars today.
Yeah,
And then I actually had to refund his money.
yeah, sometimes you got to walk away from it
Yeah.
and be
So,
okay with it.
yeah,
Valerie said boundaries and values are key.
they are
Absolutely.
key. They are
Absolutely.
key. Yes.
In the traditional workplace, right? When you're working for other people,
Mm.
many of us do,
Mm.
companies don't have no boundaries when it comes to you as an employee. They don't have no boundaries.
No, they don't.
They will use you up and then
Every
take
drip
you
drop.
to the last day and not even think about you again.
That's
But
true.
as employees, we think that we can't have boundaries with employers.
Ooh, that's another class. That's another, yeah.
And and we can, right? Because
You
one of
certainly
the
can.
I used to tell because I worked in Washington, D.C. So one of the things I used to tell people all the time is Washington, D.C. is the best place to be for a federal government job. I don't have to work at this agency.
Right.
I
You
there,
go to another one.
there's 50,000 different federal agencies here. I don't have to work here. And if you don't respect my boundaries, I will go to another federal agency.
That's it.
So in my 32-year career, I worked at 7 different federal agencies because they didn't respect my boundaries.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so and it, like you were saying earlier, it has to be something in it for you.
Yeah.
What's in it for you?
Yes.
Right. And it has to be more than a paycheck.
Got to be.
It's got to be something more than a paycheck.
Yeah.
Are you being developed? Are you being challenged? Are you,
Yes.
what are they doing? Are you being promoted? Like what's in it for you?
Yes.
And a lot of organizations, all they want is what you can do for them.
That's they're one-sided for sure. One-sided.
So being a multipreneur is my new thing. I have not looked at it that way. I didn't even realize I was a multipreneur. I knew I did different things, and sometimes I highlight it on social media. Most times I don't, right? Because for what I do, I'm not looking to my friends to help me do it. Right?
Thank you.
Because I have
Thank you.
expanded my network and my reach that I can do the things that I need to do or want to do, and just
When
keep it
you want to. And most times you don't even have to announce it. I like that. I like that because for me, I think about all the different things I just kind of talked, them a little roll call. What I have learned to do, I put everything in categories and even seasons. So like right now, I'm launching the Institute. The Professional Training Institute is really big. I have 21 instructors and we're trying to open the doors in October. Well, I can't do all the things that I would normally do with my publications company. So I put it on the shelf for now. I do have a book collaboration going, but that's already established. So I don't have to do anything with that again until maybe next spring. And so meanwhile, my focus is on the Institute. And so I can put that on the shelf. My graphic design company, I don't really ever have to talk about it. People already know me and they know that I do flyers, I do this, that, or whatever. So I just get a phone call every now and then. Okay, yeah, I can knock that out for you in 2 days. I don't have to promote it because, I've been doing it. So now by word of mouth, it's already out there. You can be doing a plethora of things, but you don't have to put everything on Front Street. Just do the work. Just do the work and it'll come to you. Matter of fact, I don't want to do all that I do all the time.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so there are seasons that you may see me promote. Like I'm not coaching right now, but there was a time when I was doing relationship coaching and life coaching simultaneously, for a good little while. And then I'm like, okay, so it was a little dry spell, not a problem. We got other stuff we're doing. So put that on the shelf and I'll come back to it. Right now, I'm literally having to turn people away for my publications because I'm like, well, I'm kind of off season with that right now, but I can refer you. I don't have a problem referring people because it'll come back. You still got to pay it forward. I can't hog it all And I'm one person. I can't do it all either. So you got to be willing to share the love, and you got to also know when enough is enough.
Yes. And with that, this hour has gone by quickly.
Oh, wow. It sure has.
I want to thank you, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you.
Those nuggets and engaging in this conversation that we must continue to have.
Yes.
Particularly in our community, right? Because we don't share information in our community, and we need to do a better job of it. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to ask you to stand by, and I'm going to ask the audience to stay with me just for a few minutes. I'm going to do my What the Hell segment. So today's What the Hell. I'm sure many of you have seen the shooting that happened at the Appalachian High School yesterday. And, I just have to say this about these guns and these assault weapons. At this point, I am no longer blaming the politicians. This is on us. This responsibility is on us as citizens. We cannot continue to put people in Congress who are unwilling to address this pandemic of guns that we have in this country. We just can't. We already know that these people that we have in that they are not even a little bit interested in doing something about these guns. All they want to do is offer their prayers and condolences to the families. But keep in mind, these are the same people who kids go to private schools. They're not in the public schools getting shot up. So they don't care about your child getting shot up. These are the same people who are taking money from the NRA to stay so that they can stay in power and continue to offer their prayers and condolences. And until something happens in this country about these guns, we are going to continue to see our babies getting shot up at the schools, at the grocery store, at church, at the block party, at the house party, wherever they go. This is going to continue to be an epidemic in this country. So from this day forward, please discontinue blaming the politicians. Let's blame ourselves for continuing to put these politicians in office when they are not trying to do anything. And I'm going to ask you, what the hell is wrong with people? Why are people so addicted to these guns that they don't know any other way to resolve conflict? All they know is, I am going to shoot you and end your life. What the hell? Thank you for joining me and my guest, Dr. Kelly, today. I am so excited about being back into Let's Get Into It. And in 2 weeks from today, we're going to get into it again. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining and participating in Let's Get Into It. I want to thank my special guest for being brave enough to get into it. Without you, these conversations cannot happen. Remember, different viewpoints, respect, and love are the foundations of Let's Get Into It. If there's a topic you think I should discuss, drop me a recommendation. If you're interested in being my special guest, let me know, because we can and will get into it. Have a great day on purpose, and I look forward to your continued engagement and support as we get into it.